In the headlines, an action plan for shelter managers to be developed this year. DBF still wants closure over widespread looting and discussions ongoing to consider staging Miss Dominica pageant. I am Kenny Williams of the Channel 5 News. Back with the details right after this.
Rudolph Thomas Enterprise in Portsmouth, your suppliers of building materials and hardware products. Over 20 years experience in the business. Rudolph Thomas has lumber and plywood, galvanized and fenced pipe. Check out Rudolph Thomas for ceramic and vinyl floor and wall tiles, nails, nuts and bolts, paint and painting supplies. And check out their line of electrical and hand tools. Go now to Rudolph Thomas on 1240 Bay Street in Portsmouth.
Thanks for staying with us. First up, an action plan on the way forward for shelter managers is expected to be produced later this year. This is among the aims of a one-day consultation with shelter managers which was held on Wednesday. The shelter managers met with Ministry of Social Services officials to discuss their response to natural disasters, address past shortfalls, and strategize better preparation for future events.
As we know, the impact of disasters, it is global. Dominica is not the only country that is affected by disasters. And you would realize maybe for us this was the worst so far. And I think it was also a wake-up call for us. And if we listen very carefully to the government's initiatives, realize that with climate changes, we have to build better, we have to take greater actions, and hence your importance as disaster managers. Because one of the things that disasters can do is that it can pose a significant challenge to disaster managers in responding to shelter needs. It is expected from today's symposium or forum or consultation, whatever we may call it, to focus on evaluating our response, to identify gaps, and drawing up possible outcomes or solutions from the lessons learned. And then one of the things that we expect to come out of this consultation is an outcome document, an action plan. Because too many times we just work, we do things, and sometimes people do not know what we do. But if we have an action plan, you submit reports, then we can know what are your challenges and what you're doing. So we expect to achieve this from that workshop.
The Permanent Secretary also cautioned the shelter managers to be more proactive in their preparations for the 2018 hurricane season.
One of the things that I commended the local government and the DDOs and DDAs, last week I met with them, I think we want to start very early. I said to them, we are not going to wait when we get a letter from ODM to start to prepare for disaster. Because all along we know that disaster, especially hurricane, everybody knows for hurricane that the season starts in June. So we should not wait in May. So we are starting very early. So one of the things that we will continue to do is to work on improving and strengthening shelter management. And one of the things that I have discussed with Mr. Tuse and the other senior field staff is that we're going to develop some proper terms of reference for you. So you're not just going to be a shelter manager and you do not know what is expected. You're going to be part of that planning, so we can look at what you're supposed to be doing, what we are supposed to be doing from the end, what support we're supposed to be giving you, what are some of the recommendations that we would have to make to solicit support for you.
In more top stories, the Dominica Business Forum is re-emphasizing the need for a public inquiry by the state into widespread looting to help bring closure to the private sector. President of the DBF architect Severin McKenzie again raised the concern on the opening of a housing and construction symposium on Wednesday.
As a private sector organization, the Dominica Business Forum will continue to remind the authorities and the population that the treatment given to the private sector enterprises in the aftermath of Hurricane Maria through the looting and vandalism will not disappear until there is some semblance of closure, which gives confidence and comfort to private investors to invest in Dominica. The private sector's request is simple: There is a need for a public inquiry to find out the failures in the security apparatus which allowed Dominicans to turn on the private sector with such brutality.
Private sector organizations had submitted a proposal to government in October 2017 outlining their lack of confidence in the police force. They also called for a review in the way the police chief is appointed with a view to ensure that the holder can meet the demands of such critical office in times of crisis. Meantime, McKenzie noted that members of the organization met with the government in December about their post-disaster plight.
The BBF's last engagement with the government of Dominica was on Tuesday, December 19, 2017. It was the first engagement since the devastation of Hurricane Maria. At that meeting, many concerns of the private sector were raised, and key among these concerns were the involvement of the private sector in the post-Hurricane Maria recovery process, or lack thereof, the absence of a recovery plan, but most significantly, the plight of homeowners with difficulties of rebuilding their homes, the chronic shortage of building materials, the apparent shortage of the necessary human resource of construction workers capable of rebuilding houses. And it can only become a reality, if and when the population understands and is educated about the concept of building back better. The same goals to making Dominica the first resilient country in the world.
McKenzie says there should be public education as the country embraces the Build Back Better approach. Participants at the DBF organized symposium included financial institutions, insurance companies, and suppliers of building materials. Next up, farmers and fisherfolk around the island have begun to receive financial assistance from an EC $18 million grant from the Ministry of Agriculture. Andrea Louis has more.
This as the government expects to see a rapid increase in post-Maria production through the distribution of the US $7 million or EC $18 million grant. The agreement was signed between the Ministry of Agriculture and the Aid Bank last week Thursday for an immediate stimulus grant for all farmers and fisherfolk to buffer the short-term loss of income due to Hurricane Maria. Distribution of the funds began on Wednesday, 24th January, with farmers and fisherfolk from the North and West agricultural regions. On Thursday, farmers and fisherfolk from the Southeast and East agricultural regions will receive this form of financial assistance. On Friday, money will be distributed to farmers and fisherfolk in the Central and South agricultural regions. The last day of distribution will be on Monday, 29th January, for farmers and fisherfolk of the Northeast Agricultural Region. Speaking at last week's press briefing, the Agriculture Minister disclosed that the country is already meeting some targets for its regional markets, and there are more plans in place to continue assisting the development of the agriculture sector.
We are already meeting some of the export demands out there for our regional markets. We can report that we are presently exporting weekly 2,000 pounds of ginger, 1,000 pounds of potatoes, and 5,000 pounds of cucumber. And this we expect to increase incrementally. We have also been able to provide to our farmers over 3,000 bags of fertilizer, and we're expecting to receive on the island by the first week of February an additional 5,000 bags of fertilizer to be provided to the farmers across the island in support of their farm efforts.
The government expects over 4,000 people to benefit from grant money. 900 large commercial farmers and fisherfolk will receive $10,000 each, while 3,022 small commercial farmers and fisherfolk will receive $3,000 per person. And 500 individuals who are involved in the farming and fishing industries but do not fall under the above-mentioned categories will get $1,000 each. Reporting for Channel 5 News, I am Andrea Louis.
Moving on to Carnival activities. Still no final word on whether the National Queen Show will be staged later this year. Idona John Baptist explains.
While the Miss Dominica pageant is not on the Carnival calendar of activities, the Dominica Festivals Committee proposed April for the possible staging of the event, even as Tourism Minister Senator Robert Tong told the media launch of Carnival that hosting the show is less likely to happen. DFC Events Director Val Coffey says they would be prepared to organize it.
That production, I will not be able to confirm, but we have held preliminary discussion in the Queen Show chairperson. The discussion is still to see how far we can go in with planning, because if the government or through the Discover Dominica Authority decides that it's a go, we want to be ready for that. We had 7 girls already, but they just had to. We had to push a lot of things back because some of them got their homes and their properties damaged as well. So we have done the audit and the evaluation. We didn't see who was interested. We're doing all the work behind the scenes. If it's a go, fine. If not, we'll have to just proceed to next year and then see what happens from there.
Businesses would normally sponsor individual Queen contestants to the tune of $15,000. Coffey expressed optimism on the question of the ability of the private sector to support the Miss Dominica pageant.
The private sector, as I said, the people are now rebuilding, getting themselves back. So we anticipate by that time probably we'll have some better news. The show will not be the show held in the way that we normally would have done it. So we definitely have to scale it down, but yet still get the required results that we're looking for if we're going to do that show. We intend to continue the process and having that dialogue, because at the end of the day there are a number of regional pageants that take place from June, July. So we will look at it, but the determination has to do with budgets.
Telecommunications provider Flow is boasting of an over-decade-long sponsorship of the country's Carnival product. Flow's head of marketing, Verdina Frampton, told the Dominica Festivals Committee new conference on Wednesday that the company is happy to help the country preserve the culture.
It's a commitment that we've made for over a decade. Flow has been involved in Carnival when we were cable and wireless. Well, we are still cable and wireless. When we were trading as Lime, trading as Flow now, you know, we recognize how important it is to celebrate the traditions of our country, the traditions of our people, the things that we know very well, in spite of the circumstances, in spite of whatever we are going through at the moment. And in this case, of course, we all know we're referring to recovery post-Hurricane Maria.
You are watching the Channel 5 News. When we come back, 3-on-3 basketball makes a return this summer.
M&J Covering is the producer of designed galvanized and galvalume in Dominica. They design to your specifications, color and length, 4 styles of galvanized and galvalume pre-painted roofing sheets as requested, and supply all your galvalume accessories. M&J Covering helps you control spending and reduce waste. At M&J Covering, they are also equipped to build your roof to precise standards anywhere on island. So come to M&J Covering at 1 Mile in Portsmouth or call 445-5001, 275-5003 today.
Welcome back. In sports, 3-on-3 basketball returns this summer, but head of Dominica Basketball Association Jerry Williams says there might be some unavoidable changes. It did not take long for players to catch on to the swift pace of the game when it was introduced to Dominica in 2017. However, with the passage of the September 18 hurricane, Williams is hoping for a good showing.
It's happening this summer. The qualifiers were supposed to be done last year by the end of this year, well, end of last year, December 31st. We have asked for an extension in regards to hosting our qualifiers because of the facility. We're just waiting word from CBC in regards to that. I think it will be favorable, but again, some of the kids that we want to take part migrated, speaking to their parents and to some persons, they're coming back in January, so I think for us to have a better showing of our players, I think we want our best players to take part in the qualifiers.
Williams says confidence is a key area of concern if players are to advance in their game. We continue with this item where Dominica Cycling Association is reporting that major targets are being met since it has been revamped in 2016. President of the local governing body on the sport was at the time referring to the attraction of youth to the sport since the majority of athletes in that discipline are veterans. Recent evidence of that was 15-year-old Kohath Barron's first place finish in the first local cycling event for 2018.
It's one of the things that we do in the Cycling Association. Not only that, we have some of our members going to UE and kind of learning management and sports management and so forth. But what we've done is to put a plan, an action plan together, and the objective is even up to the UCI, which is the international body, we have to push the youngsters and women. They have to participate, they have to be part of the organization in order that it grows, in order that there is some form of succession. So we have it as part of our year planner, and you will see more and more young people getting involved. One of the exciting events we're looking at is a BMX race around the stadium area where only youngsters will take part below the age of 10, and they'll be doing circles around. So then we're trying to get them involved. What we need is the parental consent, one, and the parental support. You have to give the children the necessary tools that they need in order that they can do it. However, the association is looking forward in making sure, because one good news we have coming for us, the UCI, which is our international body, is about to donate some monies to the association because of the devastation of the hurricane. So we're looking forward to that, and primarily that money will be used in the development of the young people in the sport, because without them we cannot continue the sport. I myself, I'm on my way out, Daddy Chess, all of us, we just stay in there to see it grow, and once it starts to grow, we can take a back seat and sit down. This is an event that will pull a lot of people. This is an event that is big in Martinique and Guadeloupe, and so many other countries are deeply involved in events like that. I want to send a message out there. Yes, we've been affected by the hurricane. Yes, we may have issues as it relates to our homes and so forth, but we cannot leave the children out in terms of their development because they're innocent to so many things around them.
Meantime, it has been 2 years since the Cycling Association was revamped, and the body has hosted one major regional competition so far, with another scheduled for this year. Charles is cautioning cyclists to do what is necessary to improve their chances for selection.
Let me say for the record, the Caribbean Association and the President has confirmed we are the host country for the 2018 OECS Championship. That date is targeted for the 1st of July 2018. So the good news is we have gotten written consent, or written confirmation I should say, that we are hosting the event. We're very excited about that. It may be the similar route, which is from Roseau to Portsmouth and back, but that logistic will be dealt with. But the important thing is that is why we started our cycling season now, to have a series of races. We are sending a message out there to the cyclists. If you don't take part in the races, you will not get points, and therefore when the national team will be selected, you may not make it because you don't have enough points. So it's very, very important that all those who are willing to participate and represent Dominica must take part in the races that we have scheduled, because it's on a point basis, and I'm urging all cyclists to take part, train, do what you have to do to make the team. Last year, we're very proud of Mrs. Brahms Anderson, who made us very proud. Out of a group of 30-something cyclists from the region, he came out number 16 and make us very proud. This year, we're looking for greater things from people like Bram, Koa, for all those who are going to take part in it. And we're looking forward to a wonderful cycling season.
The next cycling event for the year is carded for February 4, and its route is from Woodbridge Bay to Portsmouth and back. Moving on to secondary school sports, Dominica State College dominated in the 2017-2018 Sports Division Secondary Schools Football Championship on Tuesday. In their match against Goodwill Secondary, the Gunners from State College served a lethal dose of football to their opponents in a defense-shattering 6-0 thrashing. At the first half, the guys from State College were already 2-0 up. Lemar Irish and Usher George netted 2 each, with single goals from Marcellus Bonney and Francis Luke, who did the damage for State College. No Goodwill Secondary player managed a successful defense-penetrating shot. The action continues at Portsmouth on Thursday, with St. Mary's Academy up against Dominica State College at 2 p.m. That match is followed by a clash between Goodwill and Isaiah Thomas Secondary Schools at 3:30 p.m. And Isaiah Thomas Secondary finished 9 points ahead to win the only game played in the 2017-2018 Sports Division Secondary Schools Under 16 Netball Championships on Tuesday. Playing on home soil at St. Joseph, ITSS capitalized on familiar turf to beat Casabrew Secondary 15-6. Jennifer Joseph and Aikisha Peter did the damage for ITSS with 7 from 13 and 8 from 20 attempts respectively. In a losing effort, the girls from CBSS could only fight back with 6 points, compliments Shaira Coffey 4 and Chrisana Joseph 2. The competition continues on Friday with 3 matches. Portsmouth Secondary will play host to Isaiah Thomas Secondary at 2 in the afternoon, followed by Northeast Comprehensive against St. John's Academy at 3 p.m. And over at St. Joseph, State College will do battle with Wesley High from 2:30 in the afternoon. To end the news, the headlines again. A plan of action to be developed for shelter managers later this year. DBF still wants closure over widespread looting, and discussions ongoing to consider staging Miss Dominica pageant. Feel free to contact us at news@marpin2k4.com. You can access our past newscasts on YouTube and tdnentertainment.net. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Kenny Williams. To our viewers all around the world, thank you for watching. Join us tomorrow.